Hello students, I hope you are all safe and good. I am Hemapriya, your physics teacher from Bharadasna Metric Higher Secondary School, Arakonam. Let's continue our first chapter in 9th standard physics, measurement and experimentation. In previous classes, we have seen how to measure a physical quantity length using a vernier caliper and screw gauge. So in today's class, we will see how to measure a physical quantity, mass and time. So what is mass? Mass is nothing but it is the amount of matter present in a body. Mass is the amount of matter present in a body, and the mass of any object is measured using physical balance. The other name of physical balance is beam balance. The mass of any object can be measured using a physical balance. Let's see the construction of physical balance. So, the physical balance consists of the central beam. The central beam is made up of either brass or aluminium. So, this central beam, it is fixed, and from the central beam this entire setup is constructed. So, at the end of the central beam we have two balancing screws S1 and S2. So, these balancing screws ensures that the pan at both the side of the physical balance are kept equal. So, we have a central beam. At the end of the central beam we have two balancing screws S1 and S2, and this balancing screws ensures that the pan at both the sides of the balance are kept equal. And further, if you are seeing, there is a knife edge called knife edge K1 and K2, and this knife edges which are pointing vertically upwards. So, from this knife edges the stirrups are suspended. So, there are two knife edges K1 and K2, and from this knife edges the stirrups are suspended. There is one more knife edge called the central knife edge at the center of the central beam. So, this central knife edge along with this span knife edges ensures that the central beam is kept in place. Moving on, we have central pillar. So, this central pillar, it is a hollow pillar. This central pillar is fitted over the central rod, and at the bottom if you notice you have the central lever, and when the lever is raised the rod is also raised up and down. While measuring the mass of an unknown object, the lever is raised. When the lever is raised, the rod is also lifted up. When the rod is lifted up, the pans on either side of the central pillar, it also rises up and they swing for a while. So, we have a central pillar and the central pillar is fitted over the rod, and by raising the central lever, the rod is also raised. And this setup is kept at a wooden base. So, this is a wooden base, and at the bottom of the wooden base we have the leveling screws. So, what is the purpose of the leveling screws? In order to adjust the height of this wooden base, these leveling screws are used. Next, if you are seeing, there is a beam support over here. This beam support is responsible for holding this part of the central pillar. So, from the beam support is suspended a plumb line. This plumb line which ensures that this entire physical balance is completely adjusted, that is completely balanced in the horizontal plane. So, what is the use of the plumb line? The plumb line which makes sure that the physical balance is completely balanced in an horizontal plane. And at the end of the plumb line, if you notice, there is a small weight, and if this weight is completely vertically downward, we can say that the physical balance is completely balanced. So, what are the things we have seen now? We have seen the central pillar, and this central pillar is fitted with the rod, and at the bottom we have the lever, and by raising the lever the rod is raised and pans at the both the ends of the central pillar is also raised, and we have the plumb line to make sure that the balance is completely balanced in an horizontal plane. And next, if you are seeing, there is a pointer. This pointer is pointing vertically downward, and there is a scale. So, this scale is also fitted over the central pillar. And when we need to measure a mass of an object, as we know, we will raise the lever. When the lever is raised, the pans, they also raise upward and they swing for a while. When the pans swing, the pointer, it should be either at the 0 mark on the scale, or it should oscillate equally on both the sides of the scale. If the oscillation of the pointer is equal on both the sides of the scale, then we can say this physical balance is completely balanced. And if the oscillation of the pointer is not equal, then I can say that the physical balance is not equal. Next, from the syrup are suspended the pans of equal masses on either side. So, from the syrup there are two pans on either side of the central pillar. On one pan we will be keeping a object whose mass is unknown, and on the other pan we will keep the standard weights to measure the mass of an unknown object. So, this is the basic construction of physical balance. So, what are the things, I will just recap. So, what are the things we have seen? First, we have seen the central beam from which the entire setup is constructed, and we do have two balancing screws S1 and S2 to ensure that the pans are completely equal on both the sides, and we have two knife edges to hold the stirrups, and from the stirrups are suspended two pans. On one pan we will keep the mass of an unknown object and keep the object whose mass is unknown. On the other pan we will keep the standard weights, and we have a central pillar, and using the lever the rod is lifted, and this entire setup is kept in the wooden base, and we have the leveling screws to adjust the height of the wooden base. So, this is the basic construction of physical balance. This physical balance is kept in a glass door. Why it should be kept in a glass door? In order to avoid the disturbance of air currents, the physical balance is kept in a glass door. So, now see how to use a physical balance. Initially, adjust the leveling screws. Adjust the leveling screws on both the sides to make sure that this plumb line is vertically downward. So, first adjust the leveling screws to make sure that the plumb line is vertically downwards. Next, raise the central lever. When the central lever is raised, the pans also raised, and the pointer which oscillates equally on both the sides of the scale. When the pointer oscillates equally, we can say that the balance is completely adjusted. And if the pointer is not oscillating equally, if the oscillation is more on one side, what we have to do there? We have to adjust the balancing screw again to make sure the pointer oscillates equally. Now, when the oscillations are equal, now lower the central lever. After lowering the central lever, place the object whose mass is to be measured on the left pan. So, place the unknown object whose mass is to be measured on the left hand pan, and these are the standard weights, and keep the standard weights on the right pan. So, the standard weight should be kept on the right pan. Now, raise the central lever and check whether the pointer is oscillating equally on both the sides, and keep on the standard weights till the oscillation is equal. And the standard weights, it should not be handled with hand. Use the forceps to keep the standard weights on the right hand pan. And when the oscillation of the pointer is equal on both the sides, now I can say that the mass, the standard weights we kept on the right hand pan, it gives us the mass of an unknown object on the left hand pan. So this is how the physical balance work. Initially I will be placing a object whose mass is unknown on the left hand pan and the standard weights on the right hand pan, and I will raise the central lever, and if the oscillation of the pointer is equal on both the sides, the standard weights mass is equal to the mass of an unknown object. And in order to get the true balance, we need to check for the two condition. What is the first condition? The first condition is the arms of the physical balance should be of equal length. So these are the arms. The arms of the physical balance should be of equal length. And what is the second condition? The pans used in the physical balance should be of equal weight. So these are the two conditions to get the true balance. And this physical balance is based on, it is based on the principle of moments. So what is principle of moment? That is moment which is obtained due to the object, weight of an object on the left hand pan is equal to the moment obtained due to the standard weight on the right hand pan. I repeat again, what is principle of moment? The moment due to the mass of an unknown object on the left hand pan is equal to the moment due to the standard weight on the right hand pan. So the physical balance is based on the principle of moment. So this is the construction and working of physical balance, and the mass of an unknown object is measured using this physical balance. Next we move on to the next physical quantity, time. So what is time? The interval between two events is called time. The interval between two events is called time, and the time is measured using a simple pendulum. The time is measured using a simple pendulum. So this is the simple pendulum. The simple pendulum, it consists of the heavy metal bar at one end of the string, and the other end of the string is fixed, and this bob is allowed to oscillate freely. So this is the simple pendulum. Now we will see the terms related to the simple pendulum. So here, so this is a simple pendulum. I am marking this point as O and this is A. This OA, it is the mean position. Mean position is nothing but it is the rest position of the simple pendulum. And from A, when it is pulled aside on one end and it is released, it begins to oscillate. From A, it goes to the one side, that point is B, and from B it again comes back to A, and from A it goes on the other side, the point is C, and from C it again comes back to A. Here the distance from A on either side, that is AB is equal to AC. That the points B and C are at equal distance from A. And this complete to and fro motion of a pendulum is called oscillation. So what is oscillation of a pendulum? The complete to and fro motion of a pendulum is called oscillation. Next, what is time period of a pendulum? The time taken by this pendulum to complete one oscillation is called time period. The to and fro motion is called oscillation, and the time taken to complete the oscillation is called time period. And next we have frequency. Now we all know what is time period and oscillation. And frequency is nothing but the number of oscillation produced by the pendulum in 1 second. For example, in 1 second, if the pendulum is producing 3 oscillation, then we can say the frequency of the pendulum is 3. So the number of oscillation produced by the pendulum in 1 second is called frequency. Next is amplitude. Amplitude is nothing but the maximum distance covered by the pendulum from the mean position. See here, so this is the mean position. As we know, OA is the mean position. So from the mean position, the maximum distance covered by the pendulum is OC. So this maximum distance we can call it as amplitude. So the maximum displacement of a pendulum from the mean position is called amplitude. And the next term is length. And the length of the pendulum is nothing but the distance from the point of suspension and the center of the metallic bob. So this distance is called the effective length of pendulum. So the distance between the point of suspension and the center of the metallic bob. So this is called the effective length of the pendulum. So we have seen the terms. What is first one is oscillation. Oscillation is the complete to and fro motion of a pendulum is oscillation. And next one is time period. What is time period? Time period is the time taken by the pendulum to complete one oscillation. And next is the frequency. Frequency is number of oscillation produced by the pendulum in 1 second. And next one is amplitude. What is amplitude? Amplitude is the maximum distance covered by the pendulum from the mean position. And next is the effective length. Effective length is the distance between point of suspension and the center of the bob. So these are the terms which are related to the simple pendulum. Next we will see the factors which affects the time period of the pendulum. So what is time period basically? Time period is the time taken by the pendulum to complete one oscillation. And this time period, it depends on the length of the pendulum. When the length of the pendulum is more, the time taken by the pendulum to complete oscillation is also more. So the time period is directly proportional to square root of length of the pendulum. And the time period is also depends on acceleration due to gravity of the pendulum. That is, the time period is inversely proportional to square root of acceleration due to gravity. When the acceleration due to gravity at a place is more, the time period of the pendulum is less. If the acceleration due to gravity is less, the time period of the pendulum is more. So they are inversely proportional to each other. And from these two equations, I can get time period is directly proportional to square root of length by acceleration due to gravity. Here as you can see, we do have proportional symbol. In order to remove this, I will be adding a constant here. So the constant here is 2 pi, which is the constant of proportionality. So time period of pendulum can be given by the equation T is equal to, time period is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. Here L is the length of the pendulum and G is the acceleration due to gravity. So far in today's class we have seen what is mass and how to measure the mass of an unknown object using a physical balance, and what is time and how the time is calculated using a simple pendulum and the terms related to the simple pendulum, and on what factors the time period depends. And in the description I have added the study material, question bank and YouTube link for your further reference. Just go through it and take the self assessment to check how far you understand the concept. Thank you.